여러분 반갑습니다. I'm Kwon So-wha and this is K-Culture Dive. Join us in taking a deep dive into the heart of Korean culture, from K-entertainment to AI news and an expert's look at K-horror contents. And with that, let's dive in. Joining us on today's show is Walter Lee. Happy Friday, Walter.
Happy Friday, Soa, and hello to everyone joining us on K-Culture Dive today. I'm Walter Lee, here to co-host and bring you the latest in K-entertainment stories.
We're going to get back to you in just a bit for those K-enter stories, but let's start off with a report. The Culture Ministry has unveiled an ambitious vision to further expand Korea's booming K-culture industry. Our culture correspondent Park Kwon-woo reports.
What started with K-content is now being seen as something far bigger, from tourism, beauty products, and even fashion. The Culture Ministry now says South Korea's cultural industry could grow to 400 trillion won, or around $265 billion by 2030. Culture Minister Choi Young unveiled the new target Thursday during a press conference marking the first anniversary of the current administration. The previous goal had been 300 trillion won, but the ministry says the industry's economic footprint had long been underestimated.
Many foreign visitors first encounter Korea through K-culture and later visit and spend money here. That spending should naturally be considered part of the industry's added value. The same goes for exports like K-food, K-beauty, and K-fashion.
Under the broader definition, the ministry revised the industry's trade estimate sharply upward from $35 billion to $110 billion. The adjusted figure for 2025 alone now stands at more than $71 billion, placing the sector among Korea's top 3 export industries, alongside semiconductors and automobiles. K-pop remained a standout sector, posting an on-year export increase of around 32% in 2025. And the government is now preparing an even bigger global push. One major project in the works is Phenomenon, Fan Plus Phenomenon, a large-scale collaborative concert series featuring artists from Korea's 4 major entertainment agencies. The first event is scheduled for December 2027.
In winter, it will take the form of an awards event, while in spring, it will become a global K-festival touring 7 major cities around the world. But depending on the impact and effectiveness, some events could also be held in Korean cities, such as Seoul, Busan, Gwangju, or Jeju.
The minister also pledged to bring in 30 million foreign tourists ahead of schedule by making things more convenient.
Tourists may be used to Seoul, but are still struggling when traveling outside Seoul, particularly with booking train tickets, express buses, restaurants, and accommodation in real time. We'll cooperate more with companies and services so that they can travel more easily and safely throughout the country.
Choi also warned against price gouging in Busan ahead of BTS concerts set for June, saying authorities will respond strictly through legal and institutional measures. With a series of new cultural and tourism initiatives now on the table, the ministry says its second year in office will focus less on planning and more on execution. Park Kwon-woo, Arirang News.
And as K-culture continues to expand its global reach, the entertainment industry remains right at the center of that momentum. And with that, let's turn now to our K-enter updates with Walter. So Walter, we're starting off with a refreshing new album release, and I have to say the hint is maybe the color of my blouse here.
It does look quite lemon, if I were to say so myself. But yes, girl group aespa have released their new full-length album, Lemonade. The album dropped at 1 p.m. Korea time on Friday. aespa said their album will bring cool vibes this summer and introduced the album by saying listeners will be able to feel the group's intense charm along with a more relaxed energy. Now, Lemonade contains 10 tracks, including the title song Lemonade and WDA, which is Whole Different Animal, which was pre-released on the 11th of May. Now, Karina, one of the members from aespa, explained that the title track Lemonade compares the hardships and pain that come your way. I guess in using the English saying, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, as the inspiration for this song.
I think it's a fantastic song to go into the summer season.
Indeed.
But Walter, let's talk about one member of BTS with a very interesting achievement.
Yes, an interesting achievement indeed. indeed. So Jungkook has been ranked the #1 most influential Hallyu star among solo artists in 2026 Overseas Hallyu Survey. Now, in the statistical section released by South Korea's Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism and the Korean Foundation for International Cultural Exchange, Jungkook ranked 3rd overall alongside Blackpink in response to the question, who was the most influential Hallyu star or famous Korean figure in your country in 2025? Now, among solo artists specifically, Jungkook ranked 1st. Now, Jungkook placed in the top 5 in 22 out of 30 surveyed countries. He did especially well in North America, ranking 2nd in the US and 4th in both Canada and Mexico. Now, the survey targeted 27,400 people aged between 15 to 59 across 30 overseas countries and regions who had experienced Korean cultural content. Now, previously, Jungkook ranked 5th in the top 5 favorite Korean singers groups for the 2021 to 2025 list in 2025.
And finally, Walter, we're going to talk about not just one, but 2 Korean films that have been invited to a Chinese film festival, a huge one indeed.
Yes, indeed. So director Chang Hang-jun's The King's Warden and director Yoon Ga-eun, The World of Love, have been invited to the Shanghai International Film Festival in China. Now, according to the festival's official website on Thursday, The King's Warden and The World of Love have been entered into the Asian Collection section at the festival, which introduces notable works from across Asia. The festival itself opens on June 12th. Now, the Shanghai International Film Festival is considered one of China's 2 major international film festivals. This is alongside the Beijing International Film Festival as well. Now, on the festival's official WeChat account, it described The King's Warden as the most talked about film that ranked #1 at the Korean box office this year. And it also said that The World of Love is a film gaining popularity through word of mouth, adding that missing The World of Love means missing the best Korean film of the year.
All right. Thank you very much, Walter, for those updates, and stick around.
Will do.
And now we go to our AI anchor, Arirang, for more on the culture front. Arirang.
Thanks, Sua. Here's your AI guide to the latest cultural headlines from Korea. Let's begin with our top story. Public transport is often cited as one of the biggest hurdles for first-time foreign visitors trying to get around South Korea. But that's about to change. The Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism, and the Korea Tourism Organization is rolling out a visual guide covering transport options, payment methods, and online booking procedures to help overseas travelers navigate the country's transit network more easily. Designed to minimize language barriers, the guides feature easy-to-follow visuals and brief explanations, and will be offered in 4 languages, including English, Japanese, and Chinese. To expand offline access, authorities plan to gradually install QR codes linked to the content at tourist information centers nationwide. The government is stepping up efforts to curb lodging price gouging ahead of BTS's concert in Busan next month. Authorities have secured about 1,300 alternative lodging facilities for guests by utilizing local universities, religious institutions, public training centers, and youth hostels in Busan and nearby areas. Officials also plan joint inspections of accommodations near the concert venue and are considering offering rewards of up to 10% of fines collected to those who report inflated prices. Details on these lodging options and reservations are available through visitbusan.net and visitkorea.or.kr. 95 beaches along the east coast area of Gangwon-do province will open in phases from mid-June to late August, starting with Aijin Beach in Gosong County. Ahead of beach season, officials from 6 coastal cities and counties, the Donghae Regional Office of Oceans and Fisheries, and local Coast Guard offices met Thursday to review safety measures. With prolonged heat waves forecast this summer, authorities plan to extend safety personnel deployments and post warning banners. That's all from me. Turning now to a quick look at more K-culture stories making headlines today.
You might have noticed this year's Buddhist celebrations here in Korea have been marked by humanoid robot monks making the headlines. Buddhism is increasingly adapting to modern culture and trends to connect with younger generations. Here's more from our correspondent, Jo Young-eun.
The Lotus Lantern Festival is a Korean celebration with more than 1,200 years of history. But this year, it was joined by some striking new figures. Humanoid robot monks, dressed in traditional robes, took part in the parade, drawing attention from visitors and the media alike. Among them was Gabi, the robot monk that became a focal point after receiving Buddhist precepts.
에너지를 아끼고 과충전이 않는 것입니다. 과충전하지 않겠습니까?
예, 않겠습니다.
This transformation is becoming visible far beyond temples and festivals. Buddhist-themed brands have recently gained popularity among younger generations, turning spiritual messages into relatable cultural experiences and lifestyle content.
These days, Buddhism feels pretty hip among people my age, so I think it's great that more content like this is being created.
T-shirts featuring illustrated Buddha characters, key rings, and social media-friendly designs reinterpret Buddhist teachings with humor and warmth. Even celebrations surrounding Buddha's birthday are increasingly adopting elements of Korea's fandom culture.
There's something comforting and approachable about it. It gives people a chance to reflect on themselves and let go of some of the pressure they carry. So I think that's why it resonates positively with people.
By offering cultural experiences, religion is increasingly serving as a source of comfort, enjoyment, and even daily routine.
We think many young people struggle with uncertainty about life, and Buddhism offers realistic guidance and comfort, which is why we try to reflect those messages in our items.
Blending its open nature with technology and trends, Buddhism is becoming more accessible and engaging. Jo Young-eun, Arirang News.
Beyond the horizon, a piercing whistle cuts through the cold silence. It is the sound of a haenyeo, Korea's legendary women divers, breaking the surface after a dive. This haunting sound is called sumbisori, a forceful exhale, a return to life. 10 meters beneath the waves, sometimes plunging as deep as 20 meters, haenyeo descend into the sea with no oxygen tanks, no machines, no safety lines. They carry only one thing into the depths: their breath. The most wondrous moment comes when they rise to the surface. As lungs burn and oxygen runs thin comes sumbisori, a sharp whistle of breath meeting air once again. It is more than exhalation. It is survival transformed into sound. An astonishing technique that restores oxygen quickly, preparing them for another descent. Enduring crushing water pressure, they remain underwater for a few minutes. Yet through remarkable physical adaptation, rivaling that of semi-aquatic mammals, they harvest the sea to support their families. Their weathered faces, carved by salt and time, stand as quiet testimony to lives spent not conquering nature, but living alongside it with restraint and respect. For centuries, haenyeo have lived by one rule: take only what is needed, leave enough for tomorrow. They do not conquer the sea, they live with it. But today, this extraordinary tradition faces extinction. With the average haenyeo now in their 70s, their way of life is fading. Recognized by UNESCO in 2016 as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity, haenyeo are more than divers. They are living proof that resilience and harmony with nature remain among humanity's greatest strengths. And each time sumbisori echoes across the water, it carries a timeless truth. Life endures, courage rises, and some traditions are too precious to disappear.
In Korea, horror films are often associated with the summer season. But recently, horror content has been finding success even during spring, especially through stories closely connected to real-life fears and experiences. Today, we'll discuss why K-horror has been evolving and gaining renewed popularity with culture critic Professor Ji Won from Kyunghee University. Welcome back, Professor Ji.
Hello, Professor.
Hello, good afternoon.
All right, let's start off with 살목지, Whispering Water. This one recently became the highest-grossing K-horror film of all time. So what do you say is behind the film's success?
That is correct. It is close to phenomenon that where 살목지, Whispering Water, is a box office hit. As you just mentioned, it attracted over 3.2 million viewers, breaking the record for the highest-grossing Korean horror film of all time. Also, for the first time in 23 years since A Tale of Two Sisters, 장화 홍련. So 살목지 is set against the backdrop of the actual 살목 Reservoir located in Gwangsi면, South Chungcheong province, and is based on a true ghost story. And the fact that it is an actual everyday place enhances the audience's immersion. In other words, it has a strong texture of a ghost story that feels like it could actually happen around us. So unlike the traditional K-horror films centered on family or the superstition, this movie features everyday spaces of digital era as its theme, which particularly garnered interest from young audiences especially. And I think the diversity of the interpretation regarding the open ending is also a very interesting aspect of this film. So I believe the movie's success was driven by its viral spread on social media, primarily among the young audiences.
I see. And the K-Netflix series Kirigo, or If Wishes Could Kill, ranked #1 globally among the non-English TV shows.
Right.
So, first of all, what does the title Kirigo mean, and what do you think this series why it resonated with global audiences?
That's right. Kirigo, the title of the series, as well as the name of the application that is caused the horror and the misfortune within the work, is derived from the verb kirida, the Korean verb, which means to make a wish and transmit it. So in particular, Kirigo received explosive interest from overseas viewers. I believe the combination of the traditional Korean shamanism with the everyday subject of the smartphone application offered the international audiences a sense of freshness, viewing it as the original K-horror never seen before. So in particular, the fact that this work realistically portrayed the emotions of teenagers that youth around the world can universally relate it to, such as academic performance or stress, friendship, jealousy, and the revenge, is also a reason why it resonated with young audiences all over the world.
And also because the protagonists are young people as well. Because I seem to see a lot of, students connected with K-horror films and dramas. Now, you did mention the application, the Kirigo app that you can actually download. I didn't dare to do that after watching this series. I was too scared to do it.
Me too.
But do you think there's more of a turn towards experience-based, experience-based experiences in the case of Kirigo as well as 살목지, because they go to the actual film locations?
Right. I believe that the current horror content is clearly shifting from a spectator-based to the experiential format, as you just mentioned. While the horror films in the past involved the audiences passively consuming fear within the narrative structure, recent works actively utilize a mechanism that allows the audiences directly participate and expand upon the experience. The audiences actually searched for the Kirigo app on the App Store and downloaded over 1 million times. And originally, the app was a prop created for the filming the series, but as Netflix released it on the actual store, to offer viewers to an immersive experience. So it became a form of marketing that expands the series' worldview. And the actual place of Salmok Reservoir has become a representative site for nationwide horror experiences. And then I believe this phenomenon is due to the immersive consumption culture as well. So which seeks to physically experience and enjoy the world view of media content in reality.
Yes, and classic horror K films or dramas, they really use ghosts as sort of a topic in hand. If there was like a formula for Korean traditional horror content, what do you think it would be, and how has K horror traditionally differed from horror in, let's say, other countries?
Yeah, traditional K-horror content was often simply about ghosts being scary, not simply about the ghost being scary, but rather about the emotions, such as human wounds or the grudges returning in the form of ghosts. For example, American horror films often centers on external threats such as murders or monsters. However, in Korean horror, the terrifying entities often originated from someone's grievances or loneliness or trauma. In other words, the emotional backstory of why they became a ghost is extremely important in K-horror. So therefore, Korean horror works tended to prioritize feelings of discomfort, sadness, unpleasantness over jump like scaries. So of the two works we are discussing today, I think Kirigo would be relatively carry on the lineage of the traditional K-horror works.
And expanding a little bit on that, Professor Z, what do you think is the biggest changes that we're seeing in the evolution of K-horror films?
Biggest change. I think the biggest change is that the fear that becomes much closer to reality, as we just mentioned. So I mean, the recent K-horror can be seen as having become closer to anxiety that could easily happen in our daily lives rather than stories of special spaces with the ghost. So, and I believe the reason why the occult stories and the urban legend are particularly prevalent among teenagers, and it is related to the way that the current generation consumes ghost stories within the internet and platform format. So while ghost stories used to be passed down by the word of mouth in the past, now horror spreads and expands through the methods such as viral videos and the personal reviews on the diverse platforms.
Another trend that does seem to be appearing these days is shamanism and indigenous spiritual beliefs, which is really integrated in Korean culture as well. Do you think this uniquely Korean element actually feels fresher, or do you think international audiences really are drawn to this kind of thing?
I think so. Yeah, recently global audiences seem to be more strongly drawn to the unique sentiments and worldviews specific to the certain cultures, and rather than simply universal horrors. So in the past, when targeting the global market, the minimizing culture the differences and the adhering the familiar costumes like horror costumes were considered important. However, in the current OTT environments, regionality and the cultural distinctiveness often the competitive advantages instead. So I believe the reason Korean shamanism is gaining attention all over the world is also connected to this trend.
What I just wanted to add earlier on is I think the elements in Korean horror movies and also just in global horror movies could change with this fast developing world, because now we have these smartphones and apps. those kinds of elements. Maybe we're also going to have, for instance, humanoid robots or AI involved in horror movies. That is how fast the world is changing. But do you guys feel it's kind of colder in the studio today a little bit?
Yeah, I think so.
I hope you guys have a great weekend, cozy weekend, and thank you very much, Professor Z, for your insights as always.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Walter, as always. Have a great weekend and see you next week.
See you soon.
Thanks for watching and for your interest in everything K-Culture. K-Culture Dive will be back on Monday, 2 p.m. Korea time. Have a culture-filled weekend and keep diving.